Alright guys, doing my project on the polygraph and the different types of tests that they use. What the polygraph is, in a broad concept, is just it's something investigators use to try and catch a potential suspect lying about the crime that they've committed or didn't commit, and stuff like that. What it does, is in a broad term, it causes physiological arousal for the person that the questions are being asked to. For example, it can cause the heartbeat faster, your breathing quickens, your blood pressure rises, or your skin moisture increases, and that's what the examiner will look for when he asks you certain types of questions. So, the first type of questioning test they use is called the relevant test, or the RIT. What this one is, it's a set of three different questions. The first one is a non-arousing question, which is just kind of like, what's your name, how old are you, and questions like that. The second is an arousing question, which is one to see a behavior from you when the question is asked, but it's not the behavior that they're necessarily looking for or they're investigating. And the third type of question they ask is called a relevant test, and this is the question they use to someone who actually, I think, committed the crime, and what they will get from this is that it's like the physiological arousal that they get when this question's asked is very high, and that's what they can use to judge it on. The problem with the relevant-irrelevant test is that it can misclassify people, and the false positive rate for this test is actually 71%, so that's pretty high. Okay. The second type of test they use is called the control question test. This is the most frequently one used. What this is questions involve behaviors uncomfortable but not directly related to the crime. So, example would be an investigator will ask a question about, when you're 20 years old, did you steal something? And then they will get the reaction from the person. And for this test is that the assumption is that the innocent people will react more strongly to control questions, like the one before, and that the guilty will respond more strongly to relevant questions, meaning relevant to the crime or relevant to information they're trying to find out. For this one, the examiner must persuade the suspect that the polygraph can detect the lie that they're saying, and that with that, the suspect will become nervous about lying, so they will, one, get more aroused whether they do lie, or two, they will just start telling the truth because they think that them lying will do no good. This also increases a heavy burden, puts a heavy burden on the examiner, because if they're not persuading, the person being asked the questions will just not be afraid at all about lying or do what they have to do to get out of it. So it makes the examiner have to have a good idea of what they're doing so they can make the test go right. And the last one is the positive control test, and it uses a relevant question at its own control, meaning the alleged person is instructed to tell the truth once and a lie once. So when they tell the truth about something, they can see what the arousal was for the truth, and when they tell a lie, they can see what the arousal was when they tell a lie, so that for the questions about the crime or what have you, they can judge the arousal compared to the different types of arousals they got from before, with the one truth and one lie. And just in general, for the weaknesses about these tests is that, for one, some people are emotionally non-reactive, so you could ask them a question about somebody dying, and they just will have absolutely no reaction to it, and they'll just act like you never even said anything like that. Two, innocent people will react very strongly to questions about that, even when they didn't commit the crime. So, for example, you could ask an innocent person, did you murder them? And they will react so strongly because, even though they didn't, they will react very strongly because they just can't believe they were being charged for a crime such as this. Sometimes people taking a polygraph just give bad answers, and it'll go down that they're not being aroused by anything, they're just telling you a bad answer, but the examiner can think that they're telling the truth because they're not being aroused by anything, so it makes the whole questioning skewed. It's hard to be convincing when you're being the person asking the questions, because you need to have so much practice that if the person you're asking the questions to can sense you have no idea what you're doing or you're not good at it, they'll take advantage of that and they'll be able to like slide under the radar of the questioning without it hindering their status in the investigation. There are self-arousal techniques such as like biting your tongue or holding your foot against the floor, so that can skew the results as well, and it can make guilty people seem more innocent. And lastly, it's invasion of privacy. I mean, some of the questions you get asked are so ridiculous that you don't feel like telling the truth, because even though you're innocent, you just don't feel like telling people that kind of stuff. So that's polygraph and the different types of tests that people use to initiate the polygraph. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and that's it. Peace.